Seymour. 50% of individuals over the age of 12 has used an illegal drug at least once in their lifetime. This is according to Sandra Pruthi, a physician at Mayo Clinic, in the journal Drug Addiction, published in 2022. Everybody in this room knows at least one type of drug, whether that's nicotine, alcohol, or any other kinds. The mental and physical aspects of drug use are why so many are susceptible to addiction. Today I will first talk about the different types of drugs, as well as what addiction is, followed by the mental effects of drug use, and finally I will talk about the physical effects of drug use. First, let's start with the different types. There are several different types of drugs, however they all fall within 7 different categories. All of these categories have different effects on both the body and the mind. One is a stimulant. A stimulant increases activity in the brain, resulting in an increased heart rate as well as a level of alertness. Opioids are painkillers, which are commonly highly addicted and give a euphoric sense. Depressants slow down your cognitive functions as well as your motor skills. And those are just a few. According to Dr. Nora Volko, a director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse at the National Institute of Health, in the journal Addiction Science, published in 2018, drug addiction is a chronic relapsing disease of needing any kind of drug to feel good again. However, all drug addictions are completely preventable as well as treatable if persistent with treatments. According to Pravis Sharma, a psychiatrist at Mayo Clinic, in a publication published by Mayo Clinic in 2023, alcohol and marijuana are the two most commonly used and abused drugs within adolescents, both of which are typically used together. Now that we've discussed different types and what addiction is, I will move on to the mental effects. Drug use has several effects on the brain, causing many changes. There are several changes being made to the neurons in the brain, resulting in poor communication from the body and the mind. This also results in poor memory, learning, and high anxiety. With repeated drug use, your brain will inevitably create triggers. Triggers can be anything from a person, a place, or even a thing. According to Andrew Stewart, a professor at the Icahn School of Medicine, in the journal Epigenetics of Drugs, published in 2021, cravings or triggers can last up to years even after taking an abstinence to the drug. With even just one use of drugs, you can have high levels of dopamine. With surges of dopamine, you are more likely to repeat the behavior given. However, without time, your brain begins to adapt to the high levels of dopamine, and your high begins to decrease and decrease. This results in people taking more amounts of drugs, or resulting to a higher intensity of a drug. Drugs also impact the mental health of a user. According to Catherine Keyes, a professor at Columbia University, in the journal Addiction, published in 2018, depression and suicide rates have been climbing, as well as drug use climbing with it. With repeated drug use, you are very likely to make poor decision making, as well as being very irritable. Now that we have discussed the mental effects, I will move on to the physical. Physical effects vary from person to person, as well as drug to drug. This can be anything from cancer to dental issues. With reoccurring use, you are more likely to have a life-changing event. This can be anything from a car accident to completing suicide, or even social issues such as legal, financial, and relationship issues. This is due to the irritability and poor decision making while under the influence of any type of drug. If you decide to take an abstinence from the drug, you are likely to have withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptoms occur when you are physiologically dependent on a drug and need it in order to feel normal again. These symptoms can be anything from flu-like symptoms all the way to life-threatening emergencies. Today, I first talked about the different types of drugs as well as what addiction is. Second, the mental effects of drug use, and finally, the physical effects of drug use. The mental and physical aspects of drug use are why so many are susceptible to addiction. Now that we better understand what addiction is, as well as the mental and physical effects with it, we can better understand why 50% of individuals over the age of 12 have used an illegal drug at least once in their life and commonly become addicted.